Cormac McCarthy had two other sons before John. One of them, Cullen, was born in 1962 to McCarthy's first wife, Lee Holloman. That marriage ended in the mid-1960s. His second son, Curtis, was to a subsequent partner. By the time John came along in 1998, McCarthy was 65, and there was a real chance he would not see the boy graduate from anything. He knew it. His wife, Jennifer Winkley, 36 years younger, knew it. And by the time he sat down in 2005 and 2006 to write the book, he was writing it, explicitly, for John. The Road is dedicated, for John Francis McCarthy. Most McCarthy novels are dedicated to editors, or to no one. This one has a name. And the boy in the novel, the son of the unnamed father, the child at the center of the whole devastated landscape, the father sometimes calls him the boy. Sometimes he calls him my child, my only child. Sometimes he calls him him. The boy is never given a name in the entire book. The father is also never named. Neither is the mother, who has already killed herself before the novel begins. Neither is anyone else the pair meet on the road. Readers have offered dozens of theories about why. Some think the anonymity is meant to make the story universal. Some think it is because a name would require a past, and the father and boy live in a present so obliterated that names are irrelevant. Both of those theories are true, and neither of them is enough. The real answer is that a father, when he writes a book for the child he thinks he will not outlive, does not need to use the child's name. The child knows who the boy is. The book is already addressed to him. The Road is set an unspecified number of years after an unspecified catastrophe. There is a burnt landscape. There are ashes falling constantly. The sun is gone. Nothing grows. There are cannibals. There are refugees. Nobody explains what happened. McCarthy was asked in the 2007 Oprah interview what the event was. He said he didn't know. He said it didn't matter. He suggested it might be a meteor. He suggested he had thought about nuclear war. He said the causes of catastrophes are the least interesting part. This drove science fiction readers crazy. Because in science fiction, the cause of the catastrophe is the whole point. Cause determines meaning. Cause determines what humanity did wrong. Cause determines what the survivor should learn. McCarthy is not writing science fiction. He is refusing that whole tradition. The catastrophe in The Road is not something humanity did wrong. It is something that simply happens. It is death 1 degree removed. The specific mechanism is not the point. The point is, a father and his boy are walking south because the winters where they are will kill them. They have a shopping cart with everything they own. The father has a pistol with 2 bullets. If they are captured, 1 bullet is for the boy. That is not a metaphor. That is a plot detail, established in the first 15 pages. That is the world McCarthy has built around the boy who is walking with his father, and the father who knows the whole trip is a rehearsal. Now the standard reading. The standard reading of The Road says the novel is about the persistence of moral light in a dark world. The father and the boy are the good guys. They carry the fire. That phrase the boy asks repeatedly, "Are we still the good guys? And we're still carrying the fire, right?" And the father says yes, becomes the moral heart of most classroom discussions of the book. That reading is not wrong. It is also not sufficient. Because if the novel were only about moral persistence in a dark world, the father would not have to die. But the father does die. The last 20 pages of the book are the father dying of pneumonia or a bullet wound on the coast, and then the boy alone. And that is where the argument the novel is actually making shows its full shape. Because carrying the fire is not survival. Survival is what the father tries to give the boy, and it is not what he manages to give him. What the father manages to give him is the phrase itself. The metaphor. The idea that there is a fire and the boy is one of the ones who carries it. That is what the boy has left when the father dies. Not the pistol. Not the map. Not a set of survival skills. The boy is 9 years old, and he is not going to survive by his own competence. He is going to survive, if he survives at all, because his father spent the last months of his life telling him a story about who he was. About what the boy carried. About what he was for. That is not survival. That is transmission. And here's what nobody quite says out loud about McCarthy's work. Every one of his major novels is a father-son novel. Blood Meridian is a novel about the kid No Name, Always the Kid, and Judge Holden, a monstrous surrogate father figure who is instructing him in the metaphysics of violence. Suttree is about a man estranged from his own father and his own son. All the Pretty Horses and No Country for Old Men both center on fathers who cannot save their sons and sons who cannot become their fathers. McCarthy circled the father-son relationship for 40 years. He wrote around it. He wrote through it. He wrote violent men and violent landscapes and hallucinatory judges and Texas Rangers and horse thieves, but at the center of every one of them was the question of what a father can give a son and what he cannot. The Road is the one where he stopped hiding it. It is the one where he took the father-son relationship out of allegory and put it on the page directly. A man walking with his son through a country that is going to kill them both. A man who knows he will not outlive the child. A man who is trying, in the time he has left, to transmit something the child can carry forward on his own. Which is what any father is in any world. The ash and the cannibals in The Road are not the subject. They are the setting cranked to the maximum so that the underlying subject becomes impossible to miss. Every parent, in every ordinary world, is doing exactly what the man in The Road is doing. They know they will not outlive the child, or at least should not. They are trying, in the time they have, to hand down something the child can carry. That is what carrying the fire means. It is not the good guys keep going. It is the boy still has the story when the father is gone. McCarthy died on the 13th of June, 2023, at his home in Santa Fe. He was 89 years old. John, the boy the book was for, was 25. They had had 25 years together. Every one of them was more than the man who wrote the book had expected. Read The Road again. Not as a novel about the world ending. Read it as a novel about the fact that every parent's world ends exactly on schedule and that the whole of parenthood is the argument for what should still be walking when it does. That is what McCarthy was writing about in that El Paso hotel room in 2003. That is what he handed down. If this changed how you think about The Road, subscribe. We break down the most important books ever written, one argument at a time. New video every week. And if this was worth 10 minutes of your life, hit like. It helps the channel more than you think.